evening, everyone. On behalf of International Council for School Leaders, that is ICSL, I extend warm wishes and heartfelt greetings to you all on the auspicious occasion of Vijayadashami. Today is a time for celebration, a time for victory of good over bad. As parents, educators, and elders, we want our kids to have an optimistic outlook and one that has hope and that makes sense, where good does triumph over evil, and it's not cynical and it's not snarky. What better day and way than having a conversation on integrating culture and curriculum with an amazing panel who have been working with children, art, culture, and education for decades. And now I invite Dr. Atul to take the session forward. Over to Dr. Atul.
Thank you very much, Harinder. So, Dr. Banerjee, let me bring you in with this question first. Explain us how culture should ideally be integrated within the curriculum, and what does that really mean?
There are no definitions to culture, first of all. Culture is a wide panorama. Today, we are all celebrating Vijayadashami. Vijay, so that is winning over the evil. And Dashami, the 10th day of this month, Dashami. Culture is not something which you have to imbibe from outside. It is our daily life, how we live. Now, we live in, our country is India, and every day we live with some type of art, some type of literature, some type of science, some type of social sciences. All these aspects, when they come together, is actually forming our culture. Let's give one example. We make Ravan, and we think Ravan has 10 heads. But actually, do you think Ravan has had 10 heads?
No.
Actually, it is the power within. The power within is, depicted in a manner that means Ravan was a very powerful person, and he had 10 minds working at the same time. That is the interpretation our experts have given all these years. But what happened was, even with those 10 minds, there was destruction. He did something which was not good for the people, not good for the society, and it was not an example of goodness in spite of all the 10 minds. So this is one of the culture. See, through this, what are we learning? We are learning that you may have a lot of knowledge, you may have a lot of merits, you may have a lot of caliber, acumen, and lot of literary knowledge. But at the end, what happens is do good. Doing goodness is what really matters in this world. You make a nuclear bomb and you just throw it in some country. You may be a wonderful scientist, you may be an extraordinary person of physics, but what have you done to your people? Now here is where culture comes. Our Indian culture says, we always say, the Indians have never attacked other countries. We will never do that. It is not part of our culture. Our culture is to finish evil.
So you have given very beautiful examples of what our culture is. Now, you have also worked a lot with teachers and you have also worked with students. Now, how do we bring this into our curriculum?
We are talking of art education. Culture, in culture, you incorporate art education. Now, what is art education? We have drawing, painting, sculpture, music, dance, theater, literature, sculpture, then photography, and I mean, everything is, a part of your art education.
Sure.
So what happens is, I'll just start with an example. Suppose you have a chapter in history, where they are talking about the national leaders, and it is talking of, say, Sukhdev. So now you just give them a plain text and you tell them to read about Rajguru or Sukhdev. The child will just read and it's finished. But you tell that child Okay, we have told you about Rajguru. Now you script a drama on him.
Mhm. Mhm.
Now what happens is when they are doing that drama, they are living it. Such dramas, when they are enacted, suppose in assemblies or even in
Right.
classrooms, in exhibitions of schools, so they never forget it.
When we go to a school environment, what do I see? I see cases of bullying increasing. Okay. I see cases of mistrust increasing. Students are respecting teachers less. Okay. So there is a certain level of deterioration that is happening within, and not just the school, by the way. It's also the society. Now, all of these failures at the society level, and all of these failures at a behavioral level within a school, in a community, are the indications that somewhere we could not teach the culture to our generations, and therefore something needs to be done differently within a school? And what would that be, according to you, Manju?
I will say that a lot needs to be changed, and this is the result of one, the society grew up like that, and that reflected into school, and schools nurtured it further. Why? One reason. Anybody who's listening to me, do you understand that you were always taught in our times and later and now as well, सबसे आगे सबसे तेज,
Hmm.
फर्स्ट आना है, क्लास में फर्स्ट आना है, जिंदगी में फर्स्ट आना है, और उस फर्स्ट आने के चक्कर में what did we teach them? That forget about others, just think about yourself. So we made the new generation selfish,
Yes.
right? So the result of that is this, that selfishness is in the society. So the society comes into the school, the values of the societies come into the school, and the school nurtures it further, and so society deteriorates further. So few experiments, if you do as school leaders, as us, if we do it consciously, a lot can happen. Do we wish, you said Peripona, do we wish each other namaste or namaskar? We feel small when we say namaste, namaskar, and we are caught in such a vicious cycle of not respecting each other. Namaste means I bow to the divinity in you, I respect you, and that's a culture. Similarly, the small little, when you say integrating in our curriculum, you find an opportunity to teach culture to children. So if you teach them that basic culture of being inquisitive, curious, which is necessary for a good school, a good curriculum, and a good education system. So one is culture as in values and beliefs, and another one is culture of inventiveness, culture of humility, culture of passion.
We have, with national education policy, there are 32 places in national education policy where the word culture has come. But the question is, what are we going to be doing about it? We have just taken it easily. We have taken it normally that, okay, this is part of education because it's not very well defined. And therefore, no teacher or no school principal has any goal, cultural goal to be achieved. And obviously, CBSE does not give marks for being a cultural student. My question is, would things be different if we actually have culture as a main component of the curriculum, where age-wise learning outcomes are defined? Will that help, sir? Balaji?
Well, I think we need to be a little clear about the idea of culture itself. I think the best definition of culture was given by H.G. Wells when he said culture is a set of ideas, values, thoughts, life patterns, etc. put together of a community, right? And then culture is basically a dynamic concept. Yeah. So to to hold on to a set of ideas which are basically dynamic will be also a mistake. So when from agricultural society, when we move to the industrial society, and industrial society to informatics society, and informatics society is knowledge society, you will find the same thing what we were doing it in a different package. And therefore, the acceptability of the change is also a part of the culture, right? And the culture, the term is always an inclusive term. And no wonder in India we talked about, the word Ano Badraha Rutva Inti Ushvataha, that Rigveda, which really means that let noble thoughts come to us from every corner of the world. So it was inclusive. So basically, let's try to understand cultural is a dynamic concept of a society, a community, a religion, and therefore exceptions to that by individuals or a group of individuals should not be considered as a threat to culture. That's a basic thing that we need to understand. Yes, I agree with you to the fact that many of the things that what we have been doing earlier have changed at this point of time. This is because of two important reasons. One, when we talk about material consumerism, the other we talk about emotional consumerism. There was a point of time when we were only consuming materials. Now we are consuming emotions, right? Emotional consumerism is being discussed across all the platforms over there as a part of decline of a community or the part of decline of the society. And in a society, that's exactly what's happening. And therefore, curriculum has got a responsibility of holding on to the heritage as well as representing the dynamics of the current and also be futuristic. This conflict management in curriculum is the most critical thing, right? Where do you draw the line? Where do you balance is always a problem. And this problem has been there for centuries together, right from the industrial age over. But nevertheless, as a country, we have a number of things which we have inherited over thousands of years over there. And that has got to be incorporated through the schools, right? Through the schools. And no culture can be incorporated through words or text, but it has got to be lived through. And what's happening in school system today is we teach culture. We don't practice culture. I think that conflict is all the problem.
Yeah. So I think
agree.
you're absolutely right. That obviously all the teachers, all the school educators need to really practice the culture, as Manjuji said, namaskar karo, namaste karo. I remember Japanese people, even if you see a CEO, he would not shake your hands. He will wish you by bowing down, because that is what their culture is. But I think we need to practice that in our schools. But sir, let me also ask you a very simple question. Do you think that if we create some achievable milestones, for example, how difficult it is to really say that a particular student exhibits goodness or is selfless behavior? If we put some cultural parameters and create a rubric where, will that work or will that not work?
Well,
No,
I think,
no,
it is
no.
incorrect to draw what you call benchmarks.
Hmm.
You have to only indicate the patterns,
Okay.
right? And people who should have the flexibility to accept and adopt to patterns because of the goodness of it, rather than because it's being imposed. I think one of the major factors in culture is that we need to create an acceptability for an idea and not bring it as a kind of a top-down approach, right? A top-down approach cannot be taught. It has got to be only what you call, experienced and understood and upheld, right?
Okay.
And therefore, I believe that you have to create a climate for it rather than what you call bring it as a matter of discipline.
How music can play a very important part in enhancing the cultural value of a curriculum. Music is something that touches every person's heart very easily. It's a universal language, and India has been, all of us know Tansen or heard of Tansen, and we have had a very strong legacy of being a very musical nation. Now, can music be an instrument for school leaders or school teachers of different subjects, okay, to bring out the cultural aspects of their own subject matter? I am a math teacher. Is there any way, ma'am, that I can use the power of music, okay, to bring out certain cultural values as I teach mathematics?
First of all, music has a lot of aspects. सुर और ताल तो है ही संगीत में, पर सबसे बड़ी बात है म्यूजिक हैज We in our country we see, be it a church or a gurdwara or a temple, mosque, any place. The day starts there with music. Even the Buddhists, they chant mantras. That means those 7 notes, along with the rhythmic interpretations, they have a lot to give you. That is why over the years, people have started practicing it. They actually practice it.
Yeah.
Now, when we start any school in the morning or any institution, suppose even I've seen even in the international conferences, they are chanting mantras or they are starting with a small song. Some organizations have their own song. From the Vedic era, we have seen how music has evolved. It evolved and it became classical. Classical means from the folk music. Now, what is folk music? The language of the common people. I like a subject, I like the nature, I like the color, I like a person, and I make a song. But then what happens? A person who has musical abilities or who person likes music, they transform that same subject to something refined and that becomes classical. So we have seen how classical music has also evolved. Here comes why music is taken at the beginning of any place, school, college, institution, conferences, and nowadays, even if you're starting something online, we are starting the first thing with music. Some people also just play music in the background. Those 7 notes have been researched upon by our musicologists. Those 7 notes, and they have magic. They are a source where immediately you have a connect. Suppose just now tell everyone, just let us sit straight and let us chant a mantra. Asatoma sadgamaya, tamasoma jyotirgamaya, mrityurma amritam gamaya. Immediately you will see that your mind gets a lot of concentration. You are focused, and when you chant it yourself, the focus gets better because we have 2 parts of the brain. One is the left and one is the right. That cognitive element of both the sides of the brain happens when you sing music, because you have the ability to create, and also at the same time you are trying to connect to a language, connect to the notes, connect to the tal, and so that connect of your brain helps to make you more vibrant and of course focus. In any type of education you need focus.
Right.
I'll talk of another important thing. This is what I've tried. You are talking about respect of your elders, saying namaste. Music is something, the moment you start singing, you bow your head, you salute, आप ऐसे हाथ जोड़कर गाते हैं, automatically it happens. So this is a beautiful way of getting the children to understand what our culture is. Music has that. And about maths, all the rhythmic interpretations, the teen tal, dhadin dinda, natin tinta, titadin dinda, 16 units.
Yeah.
When that goes on, that artist goes on playing it, that is all mathematical interpretation.
Yes.
And we say tihai, we say dugun, we say chogun. These are all mathematical interpretations.
I think the point that Dr. Banerjee making is very good, that if you really want to bring the goodness, selflessness in a person, music is a very powerful tool. Any art form is a very good tool to get it done. And music is one of those art forms. And obviously, as Balaji said, we have to demonstrate, we have to live the culture, not teach the culture. And we need to be proud, as Manjuji said. We need to be proud of our culture. We need to implement them. Right now, it's time to take up some question and answers. So Harinderji, over to you.
How would you, as an educator, define culture in one sentence?
The sum total of our inheritance, living, and what we wish to pass on as good for humanity's culture.
Thank you so much.
Great.
Can I add one value?
Sure, sir.
It said culture is the cradle of civilization. That's
Yes.
a beautiful
Yes,
definition.
yes.
What role do parents play in enhancing the quality of cultural awareness amongst their children? What came first, culture or education?
Good one.
Good question.
Well,
Good
it is
question.
like chick and the egg, which came
Yes.
first. Basically, culture is defined as a system of organized thoughts which come out of an experience of living, right? Only by living you develop the culture, right? And to me, living is an education, right? And the question is whether we are educated to live or we live and get educated. That's the conflict that we have, right? And therefore, I think they are two sides of the same coin.
How do we address the entangled relationship between culture and religion?
Look, even non-religious people, they have a culture.
Yes.
So I think we have to understand culture is a very broad spectrum.
It's a big panorama. Actually.
So you can have a culture of following a particular religion, okay, and there are certain rules and principles associated by being a practicing person of a particular religion. But then the culture is slightly more broader in that sense.
A subset.
And I think we need to understand whether something is coming as part of our behavior, our living, or something is prescribed by a religion, because there are also very prescriptive religions. And there are, so that's why sometimes people don't think that Hinduism is a religion, it's a way of life. Because the Hinduism is probably the only religion which can be very close to the Hindu culture, the culture of India. But in certain other religions, there are definitely two paths that could be followed.
Okay, a special thanks to all the panelists for such an interesting and invigorating, enriching session. I would also like to extend a gratitude to all those who joined us today at Friday at 5.